Hello, hello, hello. Once again, my Liberian people, we're here to give you a bit of our own thought on national issues. And as we said yesterday, we were going to follow up on the president's annual message. And here we are today trying to do just that. I have with me Cameron Smith, and he's going to help us walk through the president's uh, annual message. But as we said, we're not going to take a very big chunk. We are definitely going to keep it on a low key, taking it one step at a time. So today we turn to three headlines claims in President Joseph Human Boakai 2025 or 26 annual message that go to the heart of governance, livelihood, and fiscal credibility. The Civil Service Commission is one issue that we had previously discussed on this platform. The creation of 70,000 jobs and the US 1.2 billion national budget. These are not marginal talking points. Today, they define how the state is staffed, how citizens earn a living, and how public resources are mobilized and spent. The Civil Service Commission speaks to whether Liberia is finally moving from a politicized and informal public service to a rule-based, merit-driven state, capable of delivering services efficiently and fairly. The question is not whether reform is promised, but whether institutional authority, independence, and enforcement are now real. The claim of 70,000 jobs created directly addresses Liberia's most urgent social pressure, employment, especially for youth. But it also raises critical questions of definition and measurement. What counts as a job? How long does job last? In which sector they exist, and whether they represent sustainable livelihood or short-term interventions? Finally, the 2.1 billion budget, the largest in Liberia's history, is presented as proof of fiscal strength and reform success. Yet size alone does not equal impact. What matters is composition, credibility, execution capacity, and alignment with national priorities, and whether this budget changes daily life beyond macroeconomic statistics. As we examine these three pillars, the task before us is simple but serious: to separate institutional reform from announcement, employment from arithmetic, and budget size from budget effectiveness. This is not about praise or condemnation. It is about clarity, accountability, and the hard work of governance. We are here to do the people's business, and I have here with me Comrade Wilmer Smith. This is the Kaki's Dialogue, naming honor of uh, Comrade Kamara Abdullah Kamara. Peace be to his arches. Um, we are here on the Vote 24 TV, and the Vote 24 TV, VOTE particularly stands for Volunteer for Liberia's Transformation TV, and we are bringing you a bit of what we think we need to talk about on regarding the president's message of yesterday. Comrade Smith?
Yeah, come everybody. Good evening. It's nice being here again. And it's always good to talk about country issue because yes, indeed, a better Liberia is possible. So we keep voicing and echoing messages of change, messages of transparency in order to achieve significant transformation. So let me begin by saying good evening to all those who are following us. And let me encourage and admonish them to encourage others to follow this platform because this is where we elevate the national discourse for a partisanship and just about the country, our common patrimony, Liberia. Thank you. Over to you, Comrade.
Oh, thank you, Comrade Smith. So as we said, we are definitely going to uh, look at some issues. The first thing that we want to look at in the president's speech, he talked about the Civil Service Commission. That, and let me see whether I can get the. He talked about the Civil Service Commission, Commissioner Smith, and uh, he has submitted an act to establish the Civil Service Commission to the legislature. And he was asking the legislature to pass the act as was submitted to them so that the Civil Service Commission is established and functional. But our point is that the Civil Service Commission is not merely another institution. There is an intent and purpose of the Civil Service Commission as provided for under the Constitution. And there was a reason why the Civil Service Commission is not just a statutory body, but a constitutional body. And so if you want to give the Civil Service Commission that operational framework through a statute, then it must also live up to the intent for which it was established under the Constitution. So this is the point that we have with the Civil Service Commission and the President's pronouncement, whether the document as was submitted actually fulfill that particular purpose. Commissioner Smith, let me look
Yeah.
for.
Look for what?
No, go ahead. I just trying to.
So the what's in the Civil Service Commission for civil service? I like to pose that question to you, Komogwidi.
But as I read the act, I practically saw nothing in it for civil servant. I practically saw nothing in it for civil servants.
And
And
so if a document who's so intent and purpose should be for the civil servant, and the civil servant are not captured, and what the essence of creating such an institution? I mean, I just been the devil advocate before. I mean, coming with further detailed points. So I'd like to hear from you as well. I'm piggybacking on the fact that if the president wants the bill to be passed unhindered, you shouldn't look into it, just send it. It's a microwave 4G bill. Why? It's a bundle of a lot of good tidings for the Liberian civil servant.
the first thing about the bill is that the bill is being sent to the legislature without the involvement of the Civil Servant Association. At every ministry and agency, there are civil service leadership at every ministry and agency. They currently do not have access to the copies of the bill that has been sent to the legislature. They have not sat as a social interest group to discuss the content of that legislation. So if you ask what is in it for the civil servant, in as much as the civil servant are not represented in the crafting of the bill, then we cannot be able to establish that for sure what the bill carries is actually a representation of the aspiration of the civil servants of Liberia. So this is you know, as much I can say for now, regarding what's needed for the civil service.
So it means that they did not have their input in the document.
Not a,
Because if they had their input in the document, there would have been a point of review, and that collectively they all can own up to the document. And so I'm not too sure the legislature is going to pass a bill without gauging the opinion of the stakeholders. And if they're going to be calling the stakeholders and the feedback from them going to be exactly what you just said, then that bill, I think should be subject to more scrupulous scrutiny and review, and the need for an urgent passage should be reconsidered. Should we look into there? Should be no urgency for such. Yeah, it needs to be looked at again. Those are not good signs. Professionally, they're not good. Because if you preparing a document, a statute that going to lie that law as a country deem it necessary after you are just
yeah,
passing the law. Yeah, you are coming.
yeah, sure. Because the point is the the point is that the civil service commission is that overarching body and is different from the civil service agency. The civil service commission is absolutely
Yeah, but
different from the
it's
civil
not
service
it's not
agency.
board
It
it's
is
not
not the
board
civil
for the
service agency.
it's not board for the
So
civil service agency. It's not
the
operating. Are you suggesting
there
that
is a current attempt. Hello,
I'm here?
Mr. Smith.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh,
Come
I
agree?
think there is a little problem with our brother here. Yes, I'm hearing you now. I'm getting you now. I'm
I
getting
think
you
you
now.
got some technical. You have some
Uh,
technical glitch.
so, as I was saying, the civil, the Civil Service Commission, as it is, the Civil Service Commission, as it is presented in the bill that was submitted to the legislature, is mainly uh, a copy of the Civil Service Agency. So, except for giving those people who are currently at the Civil Service Agency tenure, this act that was submitted before the legislature is simply not representative of the civil servants. It only expresses an intent to give tenure to the three directors at the Civil Service Agency. And if you read through the act, you're not going to see anything substantive rather than giving tenure to three persons at the Civil Service Agency currently. And so it is just an act to turn the Civil Service Agency into a commission, but it's not representative of what a commission should be. And it only gives tenure. And that is how far the act went. Smith?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The document needs to be, it calls for scrupulous review with all of these issues lingering. The Civil Service Commission will not be operating in isolation of the Civil Service Agency. And so you cannot be recommending that the director should be tenure at the Civil Service Agency. At the same time, there's nothing else in the document for the very institution that you are suggesting that the director should be tenure. Because those directors who are recommended to be tenure are going to be presiding over what? The civil servant at the Civil Service Agency. So I think they are intertwined. There is a link, and there is a need to dig deeper.
Yeah, sure. There is, if you look at the act does not give the civil service the bill now. If you look at the bill does not give the civil service that level of independence. It still places the Civil Service Commission. It still places the civil service under the commission under the president and absolutely with the president. And by that is the commission still functions as that commission that will sit in cabinet. So the commission is going to be more or less like this, the civil service is currently. They are going to sit in cabinet, and their reporting responsibility is only to the president. They are only reporting to the president.
Why are they going to be reporting on what activities are they capturing? What's the baseline indicator set by whom? You know, I mean, what are you going to be reporting to president
So
on what activity?
everything is set by the president because there is a particular provision in the act, in the bill, that says that the Civil Service Commission is responsible to. So if the Civil Service Commission is responsible to the president, then it means that they are going to be operating by the dictates of the president. And you know they don't have that responsibility to the Liberian people. So, like I said, if it is just the civil service agency, it's a simple thing, right? But the civil service agency cannot at the same time control uh, administrative workers within the legislature or the judiciary. So if they are in cabinet meeting, they cannot control the administrative workers in the judiciary or in the legislature because that's a completely different branch. So if the civil service agency is under the executive branch, it cannot control the legislative staffers, and it cannot control the judicial staffers. To solve that problem, we try to create what we refer to as the Civil Service Commission, so that the Civil Service Commission is able to bring under it the Civil Service Agency, is able to bring under it a legislative or commission, and is able to bring under it a judicial commission, and is able to bring on under it a commission that takes care of the military or the security forces. You know, so most other commissions could come under the Civil Service Commission, but that cannot happen with a creature that resembles the Civil Service Agency and that is responsible to the president and not to the Constitution. So these are issues that are problematic with what the Civil Service Commission draft bill presents, and we ought to look at those. And, so
So it's going to be the only time the Civil Service Commission document will be up for discussion will be at the legislature when it's now that it has been submitted there for ratification, you know. So stakeholders, subject matter experts were not involved with a peer review before the document went to the legislature. So like I said, the writings are on the wall. There is a need to go back and do what was not done, get the stakeholders involved, let them make their input. There's still room, there's still an opportunity now that it is at the legislature, at the public square. So they can exercise the due diligence and invite those actors concerned.
yeah, because I think the Civil Service Agency places a huge burden on the legislature. Usually, the subject matter experts can do a very good work in terms of the drafting of the bill before they send it to the legislature. And you get some legislators to sponsor that bill, and then the legislative drafting bureau can kind of work on the bill further to put it in the proper language and put through the kind of scrutiny that they want to put it through. But because they are not subject matter experts, they will also need a subject matter expert to make comments on this bill. So the Civil Service Agency has placed a huge burden on the legislature, and it is very deceptive for them to allow the president to announce uh, the the bill as it is, as if to say that they have done any kind of serious work with regard to the nature and structure of the bill, and they allow the president to submit it in with a kind of selfish motive. That is a very bad bill, and it does not represent what the framework of the Constitution contemplated when they talk about the GAC, the Election Commission, and the Civil Service Commission. They did not talk about the Civil Service Commission to commission that sits in cabinet or a commission that is responsible to and report only to the president. They did not think about that that way. The idea of putting in the Constitution the Civil Service Commission was basically to ensure that the Civil Service Commission gets that kind of protection that keeps it away from simmering in the depth of, of politics and patronage. So the Civil Service Commission uh, supposed to be that commission that protect every civil servant. But if it is going to resemble what the Civil Servant Association is, then it is going to be a very terrible commission, and that we must not agree with or allow to happen.
Absolutely
So
true.
So we can move now on the next issue here is that the president announced that the president announced that 70,000 jobs were actually created uh, over the span of 2025. It's very interesting that the president did announce that, and we we are all happy to hear such information, but the reaction to that information from the public does not really uh, go down well with people who have these lenses from the economic uh, viewpoint. They probably just looking at it like, this 70,000 job is just on paper, when they cannot capture in actual sense how this job, the 70,000 job actually affected the economy in terms of putting money in the pockets of people, and how it trickled down to uh, the market, and stuff like that. So I don't know what's your take on this, because it has created a lot of uh, noise in the market and around political corridor, with various political parties coming up and questioning this pronouncement about 70,000 job being created.
So, numbers don't lie. If you went ahead with it and recruited 10 persons, 20 persons, before you even announce it with it, to say we got 10 persons in the hall, I mean it's something that everybody would see. But it's no secret that the country is challenged. And the issue of youth empowerment in terms of employment, in terms of job creation, you know, and I see people trying to put spin around this very alarming situation. There's a reason why the 70,000 blew out of proportion, because people are left hopeless, people are left lingering, not knowing when they will get a job to say, I got the technical skills, and because I got the skills, there's uh, 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 there's a potential in the job market for me that I will get recruited immediately or in a not too far distant future. So just look at how many graduates I was seeing that all of them on the same platform. Do you remember? Let's do the statistics. We'll talk about that sometime this week. We will have to talk about that. Let's do the numbers of how many graduates are coming out of the various universities across the country. Okay, every year, where do we empty them? Why are they being emptied? They are in the wilderness. They're in the wilderness. Job creation. If you have a viable economy, you talk about diversifying the economy, having more focus and investment in the agriculture sector, which account for the second most second most rate of employment outside outside the government, really. And so you have you have a situation where the economy is not working for our people. Liberia needs an economy that work for them. You can't be reporting statistics, mere statistics, really. Those are political messages to appease the base. Where are the macro indicators, really, to that 700,000? Where are the indicators? And people are proud to say short term, medium term, macro, for example, over 30,000 person every year, really outside for the job market, for the university. That just people who getting bachelor degree, master degree. Then let's go to the tertiary level, the technical area, vocational area. People are being processed every day. What's happening in the private sector? The concession company, how many of these people they are taking? How is the labor minister for manpower development, that unit? How are they coordinating with these capacity building institution higher learning to capture the database of graduates that are coming, their area of study and expertise to prepare them? And so uh, 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 you cannot be quoting statistics really without references. Where are the sources of those information? All right, we informal sector. What kind of medium term job? What kind of short term job they did? All right, the government should have that data to be clear. So to just throw out statistics, if you report it, that statistical report, it's not a technical report because you are just that's a political message you are giving for to appease your base, and you see what happening before the speech. Really, those information are given now on the so-called short-term, long-term, medium-term job issue. Those things were not placed in the speech, but the regime apologists are now spinning and running around with that. And like I said, public relations cannot substitute public policy. All
Uh,
right?
they were placed in the speech. Uh, I, I, I placed on the screen here
Yeah.
what the speech says. So let me just read it. Are you getting me?
Eight.
So job creation remains a top priority for my administration. Our job creation strategy has focused on addressing the binding and structural constraints to growth, including investment in roads, energy, etc. In this connection, we have created more than 70,000 short and medium-term jobs across infrastructure, agriculture, social protection, and small businesses, among other sectors.
So Gbidi, this is not this is not a practical statement. That's a political statement. All right? That's not a policy statement. So you talk about Agriculture that should be creating jobs. I said that earlier. The growth sector is constrained. Low mechanization, limited financing, the value chain process developed. There's no value chain. You have not developed value chain. Farmers are still dependent on raw commodities. So if you have a mechanization, people will have to be involved. That job creation. If you have a value chain from the farming, the agricultural activity to harvesting the food, all the way from to production to sales, really, that pattern will be job creating. People will be involved in the first work, doing the shifting cultivation of the land. You get people doing the planting. You get people doing the harvesting, a job creation. All right. You get people moving the harvest from one point to another. All right. You got the the companies who will be doing what wholesale purchase, the retail market. So those things are not in place, and so that's not a policy statement. You know, job creation. You talk about youth empowerment, really. The people are venting because they are frustrated. They are frustrated because unemployment remains very high. Youth unemployment is very high in the country. And so you cannot say that people should be mediocre or should be celebrating mediocrity because you just throw a number of 70,000. All right, the programs for you, we talk about program. Why the program? No program. All right, no skills program put in place. The things that are in place are not sustainable. Those are political activities, political projects, which have no measurable income. And so we need to be deliberate, intentional on youth employment. And the way to do that is to diversify into agriculture, develop the value chain program, get involved in mechanization. All right. There's a lot of you got a lot of machine work to do when you're involved with a mechanization really and value chain. And it goes along with labor. Those are labor activities. And so you get people in the job market. All right.
So
So you talk
here,
about
here is my take on this issue, because I've been, I follow a little bit of Patrick Umbayo commented a little bit on it, and his whole idea was that this is not measurable. There's no data to be able to measure this.
that's what I
So,
said. It just
I checked in the 2025 annual message. The 2025 annual message has nothing about job creation. Zero. Zero job creation. And
2026 because the parameter, the baseline has to come from 2025. So it's not in 2025. How did it get in 2026? Are you just jumping?
2026, 70,000. So it was a leap. It was actually a leap with respect to job creation. But
For granted.
if you just take a look at the statement itself, right? It says our job creation strategy. So it means that they have a job creation strategy. And if we went to the Ministry of Public Work website, the Ministry of Labor website, we should be able to see the job creation strategy, right? It's
If
our
you be
job
honest,
creation strategy focused on addressing binding constraint and structural constraint, binding and structural constraint to growth. So they define the binding and structural constraints to growth to include investment in roads and energy. So this is how they are going to address the binding and structural constraint in growth. Investment in road and investment in energy, and they say, etc. So those other areas is for us to figure for ourselves. But we should be able to see it in the job creation strategy, right?
Yes.
And then it says in this connection, we have created more than 70,000 short and medium-term jobs across infrastructure. Then they added agriculture, social protection, and small businesses, among other sectors. So the job creation strategy alone is a policy paper, and that guide the implementation of how they're supposed to be able to carry on in terms of creating jobs, right? That
Mm-hmm.
that strategy presupposes monitoring and evaluation framework. That monitoring evaluation framework should have a baseline that defines from where the from where
What?
the numbers is situated at the particular point from when they were putting together the job creation strategy before they start to roll out the employment of these 70,000 people. So how many people were employed? What was the deficit in terms of employment? Then you understand the baseline, targeted sectors that you're going to institute this employment. What were the durable indicators? So if you do these things through the strategy, then it's easier for anybody to pick up the strategy and say, "Oh, these are the things that the government targeted, and these are how they were able to get there." Because after the strategy, to be able to arrive at this 70,000, you must have done some kind of measurement. That's evaluation. You must have done some kind of evaluation of your productivity. So the outcome is 70,000 out of that evaluation. Can we be able to see the evaluation document? Also, that evaluation paper should be the Ministry of Labor website as well, right? So those are some of the technical issue, but the economists have their own way of putting it and saying that, oh, there are no data to be verified and asserting exactly where you can be able to create 70,000 jobs.
So that's what I said. What's the baseline? 2025, I set the baseline. So what's the pool? What's the source? Why are you going to be, strategy cannot work in isolation? Why is it feeding into or feeding from? Why is it feeding from and emptying into? We need to know. So
You gotta
we
pull back,
can,
Wilmot. You gotta pull back. Okay.
yeah, so like I said, where is the strategy feeding from and where is it emptying into?
Wilmot, I don't know whether you're seeing this document.
Yes, I'm reading the document. That's
Okay.
a question.
And then
It's a
and then
rhetorical question.
can you look down, or it says going forward.
Going forward, the youth entrepreneurship and investment bank project launched in 2025. Investment bank project was launched where?
In
With
2025. It was
do we have
launched in 2025.
you already have an investment banking LBDI now? So what has happened to the investment component? You have a bank that the government has a major share in, and it has a major say in who becomes the president. You chair the board. That's the only bank in Liberia that has the statutory responsibility to deal with investment. What have we achieved with that? And you say you got investment bank project. Coming from where? All right. We support
But
30,000 youth.
here is the problem with this. It says the investment bank project launched in 2025 will support 30,000 youth-led businesses, creating over 120,000 direct and indirect jobs for youth. So since the investment bank was launched in 2025, it is important, especially
And they taking.
on the president annual address, as per the constitutional requirement, it is important for the president to be able to give the legislature what are the achievements since the establishment of the investment bank, the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank. What were the achievements between the time that it was established in 2025
Till
to
now.
the period that the president was reporting? That is the first thing that the president is supposed to report on. The, the way the speech is written simply suggests that they did nothing. They launched it and they did nothing until they come to the legislature now with nothing, and then they say, "Oh, let us just put in that," because the legislature is aware that this youth entrepreneurship investment bank is established, and we cannot go without anything. And normally, these agencies that are responsible to implement these things, if they don't have anything to show the president, they just see in something that will, be readable, and little acceptable to the president for the president to read. So apparently, this agency or whosoever was tasked with this responsibility did not do anything other than having this youth entrepreneurship investment bank loan, and 2026 now they're saying that the project is going to support 30,000 youth led businesses and create 120,000 direct and indirect jobs for youth.
It's it's a disservice. It's a disservice to the nation and the citizenry. Like I said, you can't be throwing out statistics in the wake of the situation where the economic outlook and performance of our country clearly shows that uh, there's limited economic diversification, which continues to expose the country to volatility, And these are the issues that need to be looked at and addressed. Have they been looked into before? Multiple times. Where are the concrete, practical steps laid out and executed to mitigate uh, 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 the country from being exposed to volatility? Country is weak. The FX market cannot be controlled by us because uh, uh, to stabilize the country in terms of inflation is a challenge, given the fact that the domestic supply chain is weakening and the global shocks persist from time to time. And so, because, take for instance, the SOEs, and we'll come to that later on, so the president talk about economic empowerment. The SOEs that should be remitting some of the revenue they generate annually, their quota, have not been in compliance 90 to 95% of them have contributed. We made a zero contribution in terms of their quota to the national budget. And so these are the areas that we have left unchecked. The SOEs in the first quarter in 2025, because of the non-compliance, you had a budget short for over 18 million US dollars. Please tell me, the National Port Authority, you have the people of Monrovia, the port of Grand Bassa, the port of Sino, the port of Maryland. You say the free port of Monrovia is the gateway to our economy. You say the Liberian Petroleum Refinery Company is the one that keeps the wheels of the industry turning. In the sharp contrast, these two institutions, state-owned enterprises, has consistently not been able to remit their quota to the national budget in the face of all of the revenue they are raising. Take for instance, MPA should have contributed 10 million to the budget. You look at the activity to the port every day, you know that they are generating a lot of money, but MPA could not contribute more than 4 million to the budget. LPRC. And so these are the things that need to be corrected and looked into. And these are the things that will relieve the pressure of the budget. The compliance regime, the enforcement part, LRA, as per the law, has the right, the power to garnish the account of these SOEs. Are they doing that? No, because there are political interferences. And so we are leaving the issue unattended, not intentionally. We are leaving the issue intentionally unattended, yet at the same time trying to introduce pleasantry, introduce new variable that got no bearing, no understanding of meaning, only because we want to say something pleasant to the audience, something that sounds pleasant, that sounds believable to the audience, and appease our political base. You cannot politicize public policy. You cannot politicize the basic commodity prices. All right. We have to what? You need hands on deck to take on the challenge and correct this situation. Or do you gonna agree? Hello?
Yeah, definitely, we do need hands on deck to be able to address some of these issues. I'm very aware how the president speech is developed because we were part of government or during the early era. We were part of government and we were very much involved with drafting our own institution portion of the president annual message. And sometimes you go for a year without achieving anything significant, then you want to craft a language that will represent you as uh, being somebody who was very productive for the year and achieved something. But in reality, in reality, you haven't achieved anything. So this is some of the problem that we have with the presentation of the president in his annual message. And sometimes, what is difficult with the public ministry of labor in terms of finding a way to be able to uh, provide the data that supports the president 70,000 jobs created. If 70,000 jobs is created, for instance, it is possible to be able to uh, track those 70,000 jobs and be able to say specifically, what those were in terms of a particular kind of documentation that shows how the 70,000 jobs were created. For example, if you actually done a monitoring evaluation of the implementation of the job creation strategy of the government, to know what the performance of that strategy was, you would definitely be able to capture some of the key jobs that were created, or amounting to the 70,000. But if you cannot provide the foundational data to be able to establish uh, where all of this came from, these numbers came from, uh, job creation, like the people will say, will only be on paper, why the people are not seeing anything on the ground. So it's something for us to be able to ponder over time. Uh, I think we've spent like an hour here, talking about these things. And this is just a little portion, a little segment of the president message, and we have just on this and the Civil Service Commission spent an hour talking about it. We can go on and but we might not have the time to go into the $1.2 billion budget as pronounced by the president in his annual message. But we can definitely try to look at that tomorrow, right, Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely try to look at that tomorrow, and then and other things. But we will take our time this week moving forward to look at the president's annual message, and we do all of this in good faith, hoping that next time the president is working on his annual message, there will be some sort of gatekeeping where those people who provide the statement that they think the president should read in terms of their achievement will be able to see exactly what to be able to authenticate some of the statements that they provide to the president and want the president to pronounce. And there was one thing I don't know, I heard the president say, I can cut it off from the speech, but there was one thing I heard the president say, and I think is quite related to this, is the creation of a kind of a performance metrics. I don't know. He termed it like a performance bond that you're going to create a kind of work plan or a framework document that says what a particular agency is going to do over the period, and they are going to sign with the agency head, and they are going to hold the agency head responsible for such performance. I think that would be a very laudable effort, and that will show exactly what is expected at the end of the year and what the president can be able to report on. And it, I mean, the president can be able to, call the ministers and, and directors to account for what they promise that they are going to achieve. And they can use that document and try to do some kind of evaluation to establish whether, in fact, those promises were met over the year.
So how many minutes we got left?
So I think we can just wrap up now because we don't have any time left anymore. We can just wrap up.
So yeah, I think it'll be important that we have that discussion tomorrow. It's very important, and I'll be looking forward to our other distinguished colleagues to join us, so that more is better, so that we can brainstorm more. And I think we need to do a joint policy brief, because of what we want to elevate the discourse. A joint policy brief on, like we need to do some fact checking
Yeah.
on the state of the nation, you know, what was said against, the reality. So I think it's something we need to work behind the scene in the coming days, and then we can do a policy brief, like I said, professional people, and we can make it public, so that whether you are a regime apologist, whether you are an opposition, you all can have access to that critique, and and see where they agree and where they don't agree. Yeah.
Certainly. Thank you, Congressman, for uh, turning out today and helping me navigate uh, a very tedious obligation to the Liberian people on behalf of the Volunteer for Liberian Transformation 24 TV, Vote TV. We have an obligation to ensure that we make the necessary contribution. We have to make sure that we make the necessary contribution to the transformation of our country. And this is what we are attempting to do on Vote 24 TV, and particularly the Kakis Dialogue. And as we've always informed you, Vote 24 TV is going to embark on a new series uh, to engage the progressives across the country and in the diaspora, and work towards the rebuilding of progressivism within the Liberian political space. So we are going to be able to get some of our progressive brothers, those trailblazers and avant-garde in the struggle for multi-party democracy and social justice in our country. We want to get them to share with us their wealth of knowledge and their wealth of experience and the history of Liberian democracy and Liberia struggle. We would be happy to get them on the platform on what we refer to as the progressive diary. So you can watch up in February. This is coming by your way very soon. We thank you for tuning in today. We thank you for being a part of this show, wheresoever you are. You can support this program by turning out and lending your voice to the process so that we can move forward in making sure that we create a test space in the Liberia social media uh, space to ensure that we do not uh, get ourselves invisible while other things are happening in our country. Thank you, and God bless you. Vote 24 TV will always be here to help you work through these difficult times, looking at policy, practice, and politics. Thank you very much. God bless you.